CMMS Radio talks about all things CMMS, computerized maintenance management software, focused on maintenance management. It's the people, the process, and the culture that make your CMMS journey a success. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. Today, we have a returning guest. It is Sanya Mathura. She's a highly accomplished professional in the field of engineering and reliability. She has a proven track record of success in providing solutions to complex problems in various industries. She is currently the managing director of Strategic Reliability Solutions Limited, a leading consulting firm that specializes in helping clients improve their asset reliability and maintenance practices. She's a published author. We've talked about this on her original episode. Sanya, thank you for coming back to CMMS Radio.
Oh my gosh, Greg, thank you for having me as always. I love coming in and talking to you. I know we did our t-shirts today. Yeah,
They are
because we're
there.
good like that. Totally planned.
It's yeah, and just so everybody knows, we didn't even coordinate that.
Oh
So,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
one of the things for everyone that might not know that I wanted to talk to you about today, Sanya,
Oh,
is the fact that you are an UpKeep ambassador, and that's
I
really
am.
important for people to know what that is, why that is. But before we get into all of that, you've had a lot of recent news kind of floating around out
Oh
there on
yeah.
LinkedIn, some things that you've accomplished. And rather than try to list out each one, I just thought, hey, Sanya, can you tell us what's been going on lately? What's exciting? I know you got a new credential, one of the first ever.
Oh my
And could you
gosh,
tell us
yeah.
a little bit about that?
Okay, so yeah, you're totally right. There has been so many things going on recently. And I know sometimes people just see the highlight reel and they're like, "Oh my gosh, when did you do that?" But there's always, and you notice on your side as well, there's always so much things going on in the background, like so many things leading up to that. So I had the US tour, so that I think that's what we're calling it now officially. Thanks Bob Latino for that, because I know he gave the name to it. So we had that going on. I went to Houston to promote the Woman in STEM book. It was so good to go to that conference with Katie Minot and with Ally Energy because it was all about helping young people to get involved in STEM. And that's what it's about at the end of the day. People tend to forget that, but it's all about that future generation and making sure that they get involved in just even in the workforce, like the skilled trades, because I know we have so many things going on with that. You know, there is a gap coming up. We need to have more people involved in that and just getting them excited about it. So that was great. We did Virginia the week after. Um, had a lot of fun with the Latinos. A lot, maybe too much. Nah, no such thing. No such thing. It was so good to finally, connect with everybody on that side. And then we did Detroit. And so if you think about those places, especially in the month of March, and you realize that I'm from the Caribbean and I have Caribbean blood, you realize that I just kept going to a colder place every single week. And that does not work, right? That was the hardest part of the trip because in Detroit, we were walking around with our puffy jackets on. And when we went to the Lubricant Expo at the door, they're like, "Should we take your coat?" I'm like, "No, don't take my coat. I need my coat. It's cold inside here."
Reason.
It was so cold. And like my Caribbean blood, there's only so much that I can take. So I am glad to be back in the sunshine and in the warm temperatures in Trinidad and Tobago. Very happy for that right now. But as soon as we came back from Detroit, I started to study for the Mobius Institute's FL Cat 1 exam. So that's Field Lubrication Analyst, Category 1 exam. And for those of you that are familiar with ICML, it's almost like a combination of the MLA1 and the MLT1. But in terms of my background with that, well, I didn't do the MLAs and the MLTs. I went straight for the MLE, but that's just me. All right. I did the MLE first, and then I went back and I did the MLT one and two after I wrote the book with Mike Holloway. So my background is a little bit mixed up with that one, but the FLA was very interesting. Mike Johnson does the training for that in terms of the on-demand stuff, and it was a good combination of lab and field experience, like contents for people who are looking to get into that area. So after I did the exam, and this was like coming back from 3 weeks being out during the Easter holidays, Easter vacation, and I'm like studying away, using all of my vacation time to do that, and then trying to write the exam. Got the exam done, and then when it was published that I passed the exam, I checked on their websites, and on their websites there were only 5 people in the world that had that certification. And that's just on their website, because I know that sometimes people don't publish their results publicly. So, and out of those 5 people, of course, the only Trinidadian and the only female. So I'm like, why don't we have more women involved here? I'm always about getting more women involved, getting more people involved, especially in these lubrication certifications, because I think we have so much to learn and so much to offer. And of course, now that I've passed the exam with a high grade, because I'm not allowed to say grade, but with a high grade, I am an instructor for it. So it's going to be very interesting to be able to help pass that knowledge on, that combination of information. And like, just for those who are not familiar, if you're familiar with the ICML, it's like MLA1 and MLT1, combined together. So it's great in terms of entry level, getting involved in lubrication. That's a great place to start. I would heavily advocate for it. The content is very solid, and the exam questions, while some of them are tricky, they definitely help to test your knowledge and make you think a little bit. So I am so glad that I went through the process. Yes, it was a little bit stressful, but definitely going through the process, getting the exam done, and being able to come out with a certification. I'm always advocating for people to get certified, because this is, something that you carry with you for the rest of your life. It's a skill that you learn. It's something that you could pass on to other people. It's something that you can relate to. Like, you go to a conference and you're like, "Oh, do you have the FL Cat one?" "Yeah, I do. You too?"
Of
"Yeah."
course. Well, and this is a nice transition into talking about the UpKeep Ambassador program, which
Mm-hmm.
you are an UpKeep Ambassador. And
Yeah.
I think I know why. I think there are plenty of people that know why, but I think when Brian Bieski, who
Mm-hmm.
is the head of
Amazing.
community and partnerships there at UpKeep, um, knows so many global, what I call bona fide experts. And when I
Mm-hmm.
say bona fide experts, I'm talking about people that really, quote unquote, get it.
Yeah.
They don't just have certs, but they also take all this different learning and they've done the work. They've been in the
Mm-hmm.
field. They've been on site. Like for
Oh
you,
yeah.
being at, I believe it would be, like oil and gas or
Yeah.
even
A
mines,
lot.
you've spent that time. And even with the most recent certification you've attained, which
Mm-hmm.
is awesome, you talked about how there was the learning sessions, but then the offsites where you're actually in the thick of
Mm-hmm.
it. And I think when we talk about the UpKeep Ambassadors program, and you can, people can go check that out. You can go find UpKeep Ambassadors on UpKeep's website. This episode is sponsored by UpKeep, purpose built for maintenance, reliability, and operations teams. Our mobile first CMMS and asset operations management solution puts work orders, inventory, and asset info in the palm of your hand. Designed for ease of use and adoption, UpKeep aligns your team for peak business performance. Transform your operations, transform your success with the multi-platform solution of UpKeep. Visit upkeep.com/CMMSradio to receive a dedicated custom discovery session. But you can read the bios of everyone and you can see that. And the biggest advantage there, I think, is that we as ambassadors can help somebody see things that they might not see about what they're about to do in getting involved with the UpKeep CMMS platform. And if they're existing users of that platform, anywhere that they're struggling. And of course, there's customer success and all that, but they can pull in an ambassador to give them
Mm-hmm.
some of those real insights. So, my question to start out on the ambassadors program is, what is your favorite thing about it, and where do you think you're making the most impact for people that work with you
Mm.
as an UpKeep ambassador?
So I think my favorite thing about Upkeep is that I love the culture. Clearly, I love the T-shirt because it's very comfortable as well.
Nice
But
color.
it's such a good fit in terms of with the Upkeep Ambassador program, we have global people in different areas of expertise. So if you don't know something, I may know something, or if we don't know something, there's somebody else who knows something else. So I think we all complement each other in the strengths and weaknesses that we all have as a collective group. And I love the fact that we've been able to bring so many experts together because having those experts and like you said, it's bona fide experts. I have my steel tip boots. I've been on the ground. It's not just I think this looks pretty and I will, do that. No. We've been in the plants, we've been working with the guys on the shop floor and the girls on the shop floor. Like we know what it's like to actually be in the industry. So hardcore expertise, the fact that we can reach more people, because to me it's always about that. Having the knowledge, having the expertise, that's great, that's perfect. But if you're not sharing with anybody, then it doesn't make sense, because essentially you're just keeping it in this little jar and hoping that one day it's gonna just break free and go out into the world. It doesn't work like that. We actually have to help it along, and we have to help other people because there is a skills gap shortage that we have coming up. We're seeing it a lot. A lot of people are retiring and they're retiring with their knowledge. And I want to be part of the process that we bridge those gaps. We make the future generation ready. We help them out with getting to know the skills because guess what? They don't. They've never been in the industry before. They're now getting started. And the things that we would have learned over a decade or so, we can now condense that so that they don't have to go through the challenges that we did. And that's one of the main things in it, being able to spread that information, share that information, and actually get people to use the information. Because that's the last part that a lot of people forget. You know, you can give them the information, you can, send this out to them, but getting them to use it and actually apply it, that's where it makes the difference. That's where it adds the value. And that's where I think we add a lot of value in terms of being upkeep ambassadors because we can now, put that into use. We can get them to go the extra mile and actually take those actions, take those initiatives. So that's my thing about being an upkeep ambassador.
Yeah, and the great thing about it is, think about all the things that you've done in your career, all the different
Mm-hmm.
things that you've done, and then all the different times and opportunities where you could coach, mentor,
Mm-hmm.
guide, and get into a plant environment and really get true understanding of what they're dealing with. You have kind of a built-in go and see approach kind of way about you where you're not just going to go by what we're talking about. You want to see it, you want to touch it because you have, and then
Mm-hmm.
that starts to translate for them. Everything you said, there's so much in there. The skilled trades gap is everything right now because we see it. And I was just in a conversation with somebody about it, and I said something to the effect of, how this stuff with like how we deal with carbon footprints and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we started on that way too late if we wanted to make a true impact, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of those similar things where we have to keep talking about it, have to keep talking about it. We've
Yep.
got to get to junior highs and high schools, and we've got to let people know that you don't have to go get a 4-year degree and go sit behind a
Yes.
desk, that the
Mm-hmm.
skilled trades plays. And the reason that's important to CMMS is we talk about maintenance management in the middle, right? Less about
Yeah.
software, more about people and process.
Mm-hmm.
It all touches those areas. And all of this is to kind of tie everything together and keep the world moving and turning, so to speak. Because if our machines break because we didn't maintain them properly and we didn't
Yes.
have any tools to help us know that,
Mm-hmm.
we're in a real bad situation
Yeah.
that we're just not going to get out of when it comes to that. So maintenance is key. So what I wanted to do is just read the objectives of the Upkeep Ambassador
Why
program.
not?
So I'm going to read those real quick. The primary objectives of the Ambassador program are as follows: build a community of maintenance and reliability experts and professionals, share expertise and knowledge among group members and the
Mm-hmm.
greater maintenance and reliability community, collaborate to create marketing and thought leadership opportunities for ambassadors to share their area of expertise, kind of
Mm-hmm.
like what we're doing here. We can talk about maintenance and maintenance management and what are the best practices there, all of those. And we want to foster best practices, creativity, and innovation in the maintenance and reliability industry. Those are just the central basic tenets. And I think with everything you've said and a lot of the things we talk about on CMMS radio, really kind of hit that. And at the
They
end of the
do.
day, our CMMS platform is a tool that does great things, but it's certainly not a magic bullet. You have to have the mindset or maintenance mindset, which I want to do a quick shout out to Jim Van Tighem because
Yes. Oh my
he
gosh, he's amazing.
the
I
maintenance
trust him
mindset
too.
is a thing that he and I talked about a long time ago, not just on the podcast but other times, and
Mm-hmm.
it makes a difference. So here's a question: do
Uh-huh.
you have a general framework that you like to follow when you're learning about a project where you're going to help someone
Mm-hmm.
with their ongoing upkeep system utilization? Like, what are the questions you would ask them? What is your approach
Oh.
to that?
My first question is, what are your objectives? What do you want to get out of this? Because I think it's something that we overlook a lot in terms of we need to make sure that we're aligned with what the customer wants or what they want to achieve so that we can make sure that whatever we decide to do actually gets done. Because sometimes people, they're just like, they go in blindly and they see whatever problems that they want to see and they're like, I'm fixing this, I'm fixing that, I'm fixing the next, but that's not what they asked for. So at the end of the day, you don't deliver the value that you want to deliver. So objectives, start off with knowing what your objectives are, what you want to achieve. Then, always very critical, what are your timelines or your deadlines? Because you need to know how to prioritize certain things. Because it you can't start with the last one first and say, okay, well, let's hope that's what they need to get solved. Your budget. What is your budget? Because sometimes people jump into this and they spiral, and their finance departments are not very happy about that. So, budget is also the other one. And then it's how much time do you have to dedicate to this? Because they forget that they need to dedicate some time as well. And they think you're going to come in and everything's going to be solved. You're going to just sprinkle that pixie dust and it'll be fine. It doesn't work like that. We have to work together. We have to understand each other. We have to align with each other. And we have to make sure that we have a plan going forward. So, those are just kind of the high level things that I start off with. Make sure that everybody's on the same page.
The one thing I got kind of amped up about, I guess we could say, where there's this general theme or idea that I've always said, once you get your solution, right,
Mhm,
you've gone through this whole process, assessments, you've looked at 3 or 4 of them, and people out there, I mean, cut to a short list quick, right? And so then
mhm,
now you sign up with Upkeep, and the good thing there is you've got ambassadors like us,
mhm,
and there's a lot of them now. You've got great team members that actually understand maintenance, at least at a high level, because there's a lot of people there that have CMRP certification.
Yes,
And
let's not go down that road. I know
well,
what you mean.
I know, but so you've got all those resources, but what you've got to do when you get your CMMS is now you have to roll your sleeves up and you
Hmm.
really have to turn that corner, because what tends to happen is you go through that project, the assessments, you sign up, and then everybody thinks they just finished that project.
Yeah.
That wasn't the whole project.
No.
That was the first phase of the project. And now you're going to get on to the next phase, which
Hmm.
is, in my opinion, kind of web enabling, digitizing your actual maintenance maturity journey.
Yes.
And one of my questions was going to be around the how crucial is it that upkeep users have a strong awareness of where they are on that maintenance maturity journey? And the reason I ask is,
Hmm.
if they leverage more advanced technologies too soon, they might fail
Yeah.
because they've done that too soon. So a lot of people will say, well, you have to crawl before you walk, before you run.
Mm-hmm.
And as simple as it sounds, it's pretty darn
Yeah.
accurate.
Pretty
So
essential.
um what would um what would you say about that? Does that happen a lot, where people are out there on this maintenance
Yes.
journey and
Yes,
they're
it does.
trying to do something that's a little bit
Out
too
of their
advanced
league.
for where they're at?
So, so what happens when people go on these maintenance journeys and they just install their CMMS is that they go through a phase where they tell everybody that they know that they just install a CMMS. And that's perfectly fine. That's great because you're getting the word out. The next thing that happens with that conversation is that the person that they told starts to tell them, well, I'm doing this, 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 and this. I think you should do that as well. And they're now starting off, they're now figuring out their bearings and how to get things in place. They can't jump to that level just yet. There are certain steps that you need to take. Because if you don't take those steps, it's like you're going to the hospital and you're going to tell them, I am I need to get ready for having a heart attack in the next 2 minutes. You're not taking the steps back and say, okay, I'm going to do some monitoring on myself, on my body, before I think that I'm going to have a heart attack in the next 2 minutes. So that's how I would kind of liken it. You can't jump straight there yet. You need to take those baby steps because, and this goes back to condition monitoring, which I love to talk about. You need to know the health of your asset, the health of your body, what is going on with those few steps before you make that decision, because you need the data to make informed decisions. And that's how it works with your CMMS as well. You can't have a brand new CMMS with nothing in it and try to do all of these different great things that are wonderful. You need to have data in it first. You need to be putting in the information, because if you put nothing in, nothing's gonna come out, guys. Nothing is gonna come up, or nothing valuable is gonna come out because it's not accurately reflected with your system. And that's part that a lot of people forget about. They think, I've installed my CMMS, my journey is complete. I can, relax now. This is where the work now starts. You need to start putting information in there because your CMMS is a tool that you have to use, a tool that you have to use to help, improve your efficiency, improve certain maintenance routes, help you with your planning, help you with scheduling. Like there's so many things that your CMMS could do, but only if you use it properly. Like just like the heart attack, you cannot take a painkiller and expect to stop a heart attack. Make sure you have the right tools in place for that. So I just want to bring it back to something that people are familiar with, I hope. I mean,
Yeah,
not necessarily that they experience, because I don't want that for anybody, but just that they're familiar with.
of course, and that's why the basics play such a critical role
Hmm.
in essentially everything that we do,
Yes.
right? Whether it's work, life, all
Hmm.
these things, and we want to be mindful. of
Yes.
those kind of proper steps, and the basics play because if you have very strong basic fundamentals in place and then that permeates through the culture of your team when you go to do these things like leverage your upkeep CMMS platform, you're going to get better results because you've got those basic fundamentals in place.
Mm-hmm.
And this leads me to something else. How does your expert background in oil analysis, and we know lubrication, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, too many to list, how does that show up in these scenarios? Are there any specifics about those best practices that you tend to focus on for people on their CMMS? And let's make one assumption that they're actually ready for that. They've got the
Okay, good.
CMMS, they're utilizing it, they have
Yeah,
frontline workforce participating regularly, consistently,
good.
and now they're trying to do more. They want to
Yeah,
further their progress towards that, that
that
pinnacle
journey.
of
Yeah,
process optimization, right? Constant
for
continual
sure.
improvement. So where does your background come in as it relates to the CMMS? Like, can you tell us a little bit about that?
So there are so many things that you can do with a CMMS, and a couple a couple times, well, like CMMS systems have helped to solve problems with lubrication because once you have your team actually filling out the information. So I'll give a brief example about that. We were investigating why this particular oil was degrading, and we're looking back in the CMMS and all of the maintenance logs because that's where we need the information. That's where we're going to get the information from. Who did what? Did it have a top up? Did it not have a top up? Did they do maintenance on the system? Is this the reason that they could probably have contamination in their system? Those are the little things that you put into the CMMS that helps with any sort of root cause analysis failure, especially in terms of lubrication, because we need some of that data. And what we found out was that the operations department and the maintenance department weren't entirely speaking to each other. So the maintenance department would have topped up on the oil 10 drums every month religiously. And the operations department did not know that. It was not recorded on the CMMS. See, this is why you need to record the information. So, of course, your oil analysis results did not reflect that. It always showed that, the oil was still in good health, but the oil analysis samples were taken more than likely after they did their top up, and it's not a true reflection of what's going on in the system. So while they know that they have varnish happening, they're seeing their temperatures going up, they can't put their finger on it because somebody's topping up the oil just before they take the oil sample. So that throws everything off, and it's not recorded in the CMMS. If it was recorded, we could say, oh, okay, even though they don't talk to each other, we still have a record here. We can figure out what happened. So just being able to record those maintenance activities, that helps when you're trying to make a trend in oil analysis and you're trying to discover what happened to your oil, or how is it that the health of your oil has been affected so much. And these are the little things that play such a big role in oil analysis and determine what is happening with your actual asset, because when a turbine goes down, the plant goes down. Nobody
Yeah.
needs that. Nobody wants that, that unplanned maintenance. Nobody wants that downtime. But being able to capture information like any sort of maintenance that you would have done on it, even if you changed out the bearings before, or you had some sort of issue that you would have changed the valves or something like that, that is important because sometimes, and it's happened on a couple of occasions, the valves that were used, the material was not compatible with the type of oil being used. So it saw the valves act as a little bit of a catalyst with that particular metal, and they sped up the degradation that was happening in the oil. So we didn't know until we went back into the records and we found that, oh, this is what's causing it. This is why we're seeing this particular metal in the oil. So a lot of these things, like the oil connects everything, even the CMMS to some extent. To some
Yeah,
extent, even the CMMS, because they all work together as a system. So I think one of the main things is being able to work together. And that's the important part, because we all need everybody speaking to each other, um, to get a CMS to the level that it's supposed to be, and to get it to help you to what you want to achieve. So if you want to achieve, your efficiency, increase in reliability, you need to get your CMMS up to a particular level. We can't have no data in it and say, okay, well, we're going to increase. An increase on zero is still zero. I'm sorry.
that's right. That's right. And if you're utilizing the solution to not just create and close out work orders, but you're doing
Mhm.
strong documentation on
Yes.
processes, things that were done, and also, I hate to say it, but this is also an important part of leveraging your CMMS in the right way.
Hmm.
We want to see the gaps of the things that we're not doing, not
Yep.
to get people in trouble, not to get
Hmm.
anybody in trouble. It's to find business opportunities. What that
Yes.
means for anybody that doesn't hear that term, it's kind of buzzy, it's a buzzword type thing, but to find a business opportunity in your maintenance operation, we want to tie it to oil,
Hmm.
lubrication, oil analysis, and you've got a CMMS in place and you're out doing, let's say, preventive maintenance, and somebody goes out and does that top off, and somebody else can now see in the system that that top off was done without being aware that they had not yet sampled the current oil.
Hmm.
Now somebody can eventually find that because the CMMS is going to tell this story. And another important thing about, like being an ambassador for Upkeep is that you can share this with people and they can start to
Hmm.
have those aha moments,
Yes.
even through your discovery process, asking them, what are you doing right now? Where are you
Hmm.
seeing problems? You may find that, oh, we see a problem in your oil analysis and sampling best practices.
Yep.
And they might say, well,
Hmm.
what do you mean? We top it off every week.
Yeah.
And you say that's all fine and good, but you shouldn't do that until you've taken the sample.
Yep.
And you shouldn't do that until you've analyzed the sample because you
Yes.
might have a bigger problem. You might need to change that
Hmm.
lubrication.
Yep.
And that can all,
Definitely.
it all gets tied together. This is good stuff. I love it. So how how well, let's see if I'm going to switch to a different question here. I want to I want to get your advice for how the overall business truly gets connected to maintenance operations. So think asset operations or asset
Hmm.
operations management. Kaboom.
The book in the
It's
back.
back there. Yeah. And I want, because I think what happens out there is people want to get the CMMS. They're like, I
Hmm.
want to get Upkeep. I love it.
Yes.
It looks great. But how do I get my boss and leadership to
Oh my
understand it? And we're
gosh.
always talking about how
Yes.
you've got to tie it to the business. It can't
You
just
have
be a
to.
thing that you're saying, hey, let me buy this.
Hmm.
They're asking why. So what is
Hmm.
your advice to people when they're trying to make that case? They're the champion. They know they've got
Hmm.
a winner. They were told to go look for
Yeah.
something, but now they got to get buy-in from the top to write a check.
Oh boy. So usually that is it's one of the hardest things that we have to do as maintenance professionals, get that approval. And one of the easiest ways that I've found to do that is actually to start documenting. So if you have your plants undergoing, failures, or every time that there's a failure or something happens, you have to go to the warehouse, you have to find the parts, you have to not know if you have any parts in stock to begin with. Document those things. You may think that they are trivial, but you've just wasted an entire day for one person trying to find one part. So, what you do is that you document how many times this has happened, and then you quantify that in terms of working hours. So, you can tie, and it's very easy. Like, I've spent 8 hours for the day doing just trying to find the part. So 8 hours, and you put a rate on that, whatever rate you have, whatever wages you're looking at, you put a rate on it. you identify a value. Now, let's say that value is $100 per day, and this happens 10 times for the month. That's $1,000. It happens on four of your different sites. That's $4,000. So just for the month, for one part that you have to find, it costs you $4,000. You equate that to your CMMS and say, if we had this, we could reduce this by X amount. If we had a CMMS, this is what it would help us to do. So documentation, and while I know it's a little bit tricky to do documentation and tedious, it always helps if you're trying to get that buy-in, because you need to show them how much they can be saving potentially by just simple measures, simple things. And it's easy to do when you put it into terms that they understand, because they understand the dollars and cents of it. That's the part that they're looking for. That's the
Money,
part that
money.
they need the help with. So if you
It's
can
true.
show them, guess what? We had $4,000 that we could have saved this month. That would have been about, let's round this off and say $50,000 for the year. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of investment that he could have put into something else. And if you tie that back, and now this is where it gets a little bit technical, you tie that back to the production output that has been lost during that time, and you would
That
see
number's bigger.
it's a lot more than $50,000.
Yeah.
So documentation is very important, and that's what helps you to bring it back to your particular situation, why you need that, why your plant needs that, and how you can actually achieve that, because it's all about getting better efficiency, increasing the reliability of your plant. So that's what it's about. Those are the things that you want to take away. Those are the things you want to take to your boss. You can't just say, I want to have a CMMS because my friend has it and I think it's very cool.
That's funny. I've never heard it put that way, but
Oh,
that's
yeah.
actually
Yes.
that's that's what they hear if you
Mm-hmm.
don't substantiate it.
Yep.
And I've even heard people suggest, do a daily journal of
Yeah.
anything crazy disruptive that happened in your day. And
Yes.
some maintenance people might say, you want me to do that every day? I'm like, yeah, take 10 minutes before you head home.
Yeah.
Just
Mm-hmm.
before you head home, just write down some stuff that happened. And
That
they're like, yeah, but why? And I said, because 3 months from now,
you're gonna need
you
it.
might be kicking back in the break room looking at your journal and suddenly realize, okay,
Oh
there
my
it is. I
gosh.
have the information I need
Mm-hmm.
to go to my supervisor and say, I've seen this problem over the last 3 months happen 7 times in X and Y and
Mm-hmm.
Z. What do you think? I think that's hurting us.
Mm-hmm.
And that he or she might say,
Oh my
can I
gosh,
have
you're
that?
right.
And then all of a sudden there's a project.
Yep.
And again, getting all the way back to it, once you do that, you get the buy-in, you get your
Yeah.
system, they let you get it, start using it, setting it up. And when you don't know what to do, it doesn't matter. If you're an upkeep user, if you're looking at upkeep and you don't know what to do, you're not clear on something, get one of the ambassadors, just get
Yes.
them on the phone for 15 minutes and find out what they
Mm-hmm.
think. They'll point you to the right ambassador or
Yeah.
whoever needs to help you. So that's cool. But now it's time
Oh my
for, you might
gosh.
remember this,
Oh
the fun
boy.
question segment, right? But
I
you've
will
already
try.
participated. You did
Oh
that. So I
shoot.
came up with something brand new for you,
You
Sanya.
have new stuff for me. Okay.
New stuff just for you.
Oh my
So
gosh. Special
what I'd
today.
like to do is a rapid fire round where
Uh-huh.
I'm going to say a word or a phrase and you're just going to respond.
Okay. Let's see
Are
how
you
good my
ready?
brain is today. Yeah, let's do
All right.
it.
Basic fundamentals start with
Lubrication.
the biggest challenge in maintenance management is.
Lubrication. Oh my god.
Let's keep going. Work orders.
Sorry.
Work orders.
Unfulfilled.
The frontline workforce will use your CMMS if
Sorry, say that again.
the frontline
Uh-huh.
workforce will
Uh-huh.
use your CMMS if
They understand it.
maintenance matters because
It's cool.
maintenance leaders care about.
Everybody.
Preventive or
Preventative.
maintenance?
I think it depends on the industry. Like
Mm,
some people have that tendency to go towards preventive, and then some go to preventative. So it depends on your industry and how your assets are aligned. So I can't give you an answer for that one.
that's okay. The reason I ask that is it's kind of one of those things over the years we hear it.
Hmm. Yeah,
Hey, I'm
yeah.
looking for a preventative maintenance system, or I need someone to
Hmm.
help me build out a better preventative maintenance program.
Hmm.
And then I might be over here going, oh, yeah, preventive maintenance program. And they're like,
Hmm.
yeah, preventative.
Hmm.
And it's like tomato,
Yeah,
tomato.
it's
So I thought it'd be a really fun question to
industry,
throw in there.
industry,
And
whichever one. Yeah.
oh, I love when people say, oh, hey, sorry, I got to disagree. It's preventative. And then I saw a video on LinkedIn, and one guy was saying, I just say PM.
Ah, that's
And I
easy.
heard that and I was like, what if they think you mean project management? So it's fun. That's why I put this
Yeah.
into the new fun question
Okay.
segment.
I
And
love it.
you are the second person to go through a rapid
Okay.
fire round, but this one was specially designed for
Oh
you.
wow. I
Yeah.
am special today. I love it.
You
I
are
can live with
special
that.
every day, Sanya. We really appreciate your expertise. I'm glad you were here. I want to let everybody know if you would like to connect with Sanya, you can find her on LinkedIn.
Oh
You can
yeah.
also visit strategicreliabilitysolutions.com, learn all about what they're doing for the industry, and get help with your projects. Please order her books on Amazon. They're great. Most recent one is Women in STEM,
Hmm.
and there's a lot floating around on LinkedIn about that with some of the authors that contributed. And of course, if you're looking at or currently using UpKeep, CMMS, and anything about it, you want to know anything about it, you can connect with Sanya because she is an UpKeep ambassador, and we're very glad for that. I'm an ambassador too, so I can help as well. And we
Yes.
got a bunch of them. So, Sanya, thank you for
Oh
being
my
here once
gosh.
again on CMMS Radio.
It's always my pleasure, Greg. Always my pleasure to chat here with you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You got it. Did you find this episode helpful? Please send us some feedback, suggest a topic, or ask a question. Reach out to CMMS Radio if you need a co-pilot on your CMMS project. Visit CMMSradio.com and use the What's on Your Mind link. Thank you for tuning in to CMMS Radio, your resource for all things CMMS from selection to implementation to help you make better choices, learn from industry experts, and have a successful CMMS journey.